We are live.
Where?
Here, now, in this moment, we are live.
Great. I don't like that I don't see the top of your head. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, is that right?
Here we go.
I just showered, so I notice how my hair sort of degenerates through the day. It starts out kind of good, like when I first wash it, and then the dryness starts to come out. And
I don't really care, Andy. Like, I post a video of us in the shoot, and your first words, "Can't believe you photographed me like this."
Yeah, well, you said you could Photoshop it, so you're gonna take the gut away. I see these apps now where you can make yourself look like you're muscular and stuff. So I think we can do some app.
It has to be you, Andy.
So you said, because you posted something online after one of our shows, because basically what came out of the show was that you weren't acknowledging that you were in a bad state a few weeks back. And then so instead of acknowledging it a few weeks back, you now acknowledge it. And now everyone thinks that you're kind of in that state now.
Yeah.
So
no, actually, I shared that this was almost 2 months ago.
Okay, but my impression has been from your explanation is that people are reaching out to you now, though.
Yeah.
So is there anything you'd like to say to those people?
I'm good. It had to do with my financial state. I got into a situation where walking into a supermarket didn't have any money on my account, and that was heartbreaking. And I tried to hide it, and eventually through a few of the wonderful chaos shows that we had, we talked about it extensively, actually, and especially this week with, what was his name?
Svensson. Ernst,
who does the work from Byron Katie and Inquiry. We went down that route, and I realized that I didn't fully celebrate where I had been, and I was still trying to hide it.
Yeah.
So that post was me owning where I was. So I am now financially good, guys. Don't worry. Stop offering to send me money.
We're going to start a Patreon. Actually, we should start a Patreon page anyways, because this does take time and energy, and it does take away from other things you can do. We haven't announced the show yet, by the way, which we should probably do.
Intuition and gut feeling, guys.
On a wonderful chaos. You know what kind of show? So sometimes off the air, when Bambos and I are
exposing
waiting for the thing to come on, Bambos will whisper something in my ear,
and I whispered, "I know what kind of show this is going to be."
I know what kind of show this is going to be. And the funny thing is questions are raised in my head. The question is, do you think I know what the show is going to be? That's like the first question that comes up for me. Do you think I know what the show's going to be?
Andy, do you have to always take shit that I say seriously?
No. I thought that, but I actually thought you were serious.
No, of course not.
Oh, wow. Because I thought that you thought the show was going to be about giving you a hard time for an hour.
No.
Oh, good.
How can you possibly give me a hard time about something that I've embraced?
I don't know. I was actually really curious.
But
because anytime you say that,
we always have tissues just in
on
case.
Site. Tissues on site. In fact, we should, as I said, always at least get some tears out of you on a show, because I notice we jump up in terms of live viewership.
Yeah.
People see like our feed and then they see tears. This must be good.
Someone's suffering. My life is much better than that.
Exactly. I can compare myself to someone else finally.
Oh yeah.
So I've liked this topic a lot. Instinct and
intuition
and gut.
Why didn't we use instinct also?
Gut instinct? I don't know. I just said gut. I think when I thought about it, intuition, maybe intuition. I haven't really thought about it so deeply, but intuition, when I say the word, feels like it comes from almost a head sort of space, and gut is more of a stomach space. And I was just trying to feel into it as I was speaking.
It almost feels like I intuitively intuitively know something. Like it does feel that it's heady, but it's also connected somewhere
Yeah.
else.
I would say that they're kind of, we always talk about different forms of intelligence, and some are bodily intelligence because we say the brain is the epicenter of everything. And yet, when we feel or experience stuff, it often is in different parts of our body. I would say when I meet, so I'll do a lot of recruiting. And when I meet somebody and there's a feeling like there's something off, I feel it in my stomach.
And you don't always know what it is.
I don't know what it is, but I feel it in my stomach.
And it doesn't make it right.
No, of course not. But it's like there's something there. I can give a really interesting story about this. I was working in a company, which will be nameless. Is that okay?
Which company?
I'm not going to. You almost got me. So I'm working in that company, and there's a guy, and I can't quite see his eyes. They're not really looking and seeing. So he's present, but he's not really there. And I'm with him for a few days because I'll often work in a longer engagement with people. And I'm thinking there's something not right. What it is, I don't know. I know he says everything he's supposed to say properly, which always makes me a little bit suspicious because, anyone that's formally learned how to speak the right language also isn't necessarily authentic because they know this is the kind of thing you say to get validation for what your abilities. And then it was the weirdest experience. When I said goodbye to this person, I gave them a hug. And then what do you think?
You felt everything.
I smelled the alcohol.
Oh, shit. Really?
And so what happened was like, it was the alcoholism. I was seeing the consequences of the drinking, but I didn't know where to place it. And then when I smelled this sort of strong alcohol.
So you saw your father?
Not necessarily. He wasn't an alcoholic, I don't think.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
He's done a lot of stuff, but let's get him off. He wasn't an alcoholic, but he was bipolar and all the other things, but he's no alcoholic.
Okay, go
on. So that was it. It was like, I knew there's something off and I couldn't place it. And then when I got the hug and I smelled the alcohol, I'm like, that was it. Now it all makes sense.
And was that an intuition?
I would say the first thing was in my stomach. So there was a feeling like something's off. And then you go to your head and there's different ways of going to the head. And this is where I think people miss the boat, is that when you try to write a story, you lose connection in yourself. So if you try to make sense of it and say, okay, what's his family background? Where did he work? It's a very logical oriented way of trying to validate what you already are feeling.
Yeah.
So you look for, what do you call it? You look for the positives. Everything you look for tries to validate something you think you already know. And I'm always wanting to sit and wonder and ask myself, what is it that I don't see? There's something going on I can't figure. And until it fully makes sense, I don't try to write a story about it.
Project.
Yeah.
Nice.
Similar was with the guy in Argentina who embezzled millions of dollars. I knew there was something wrong. I didn't know what it was. And then in time, it became obvious that he was actually a thief.
Yeah. So that's another client Andy worked for.
Yeah. And there's something about it. You feel it. There's not at least for me, in time, I began to trust there's something not right here. And I'm not going to deny it to myself. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't exist. And I'm not going to just say, make decisions on that alone.
Beautiful.
So I think, Ronnie is, although I often joke about Ronnie not liking to read or study stuff, she does read and study things which she sees are associated with her work in finance. And one of those was this book that I quickly printed out a little bit about, was Think Fast and Slow. Kahneman was the name of the writer. And basically it's about system 1 and system 2 of thinking. System 1 being the immediate response to anything based on just the unconscious reaction. Mm-hmm. And then the second one being the more complex, more thoughtful thinking about things and giving it time, which is often harder. And I've noticed in myself that, when we've spoken, I've often asked you to fall back to system 2 more. Remember when I say I want you to be more disciplined around how you're thinking about certain things?
Yeah.
So I think it's because what the premise of the book, what came out of it, at least for Ronnie, as he explained it back to me, was that if you only function on system one, there's biases you're so not aware of. But since you're so convinced that it's the right way, you don't see that you're making mistakes.
And it doesn't really leave space to explore.
No,
it
doesn't. It was similar to that topic, which I've brought up several times on the show, survivorship bias. The plane that went to World War II and came back, and we analyzed it, and actually it survived, and we didn't analyze the ones that actually failed to come back.
Yeah.
And that's important. I keep saying it, and I find it really important because what I've seen in life is if we're biased and predisposed to want to see something a certain way, everything we look at will be seen through that filter. And it just happens, our human nature. I see it also with, when we have a show coming up on politics, is, whenever a politician makes a statement, I always think, oh, you could look at the same statement in light of what in the USA, especially now because it's so polarized, what a Republican or a Democrat would make out of it. And for each one, they're equally convinced that it's the strongest argument why they're right. And I've just seen that happen a lot. Yeah.
I sometimes run into an issue where I feel something, and imagine if you didn't hug that guy, you wouldn't have discovered that he was an alcoholic. Maybe he would still be with that, because you're not a big hugger. Let's put it that way.
No.
So how would you have worked around that if you didn't get in so close proximity?
I mean, if I didn't I would have lingered with the thought there's something there I don't quite understand. And I wouldn't have put a dot at the end of the sentence. I just would have said there's something there I don't get.
And you would leave it there because...
Oh, I'd leave it there because anything else would be an assumption.
Nice.
Yeah, I find that it's really easy to make assumptions and then try to validate those assumptions. Or especially after it's over, you rewrite the story as if you already knew it. Yeah. That's how our brains work, is that we piece together the story that we didn't have, and then we make another story out of it. Yeah. Yeah. And I also see that intuition is something that emerges when fear, uncertainty, and doubt are absent.
Continue.
So imagine if we're looking through a glass and the glass has a lot of dirt on it. And then we're saying, what's on the other side of the glass? Where fear, uncertainty, and doubt are the dirt on that glass. So we still might see on the other side, but it's really hard to see because we're not really able to see inside of ourselves what's going on here. Now, what I like is that fear, uncertainty, and doubt shouldn't go away. I love fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But if it becomes personal, if I am fearful, if I am uncertain, then what that happens is I shut down. And I think it's probably good to make a distinguisher here. There's a difference between saying I observe fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or I am fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
You mean one, the experience, the one's identity?
Yeah, one you don't even know it. You don't even know it of yourself. You just are that, and you have no chance to change it. Zero. Because you just are that, like a fish in water. And the other version, you actually have the opportunity to say, hey, there's something weird going on here. I'm a bit scared. And that informs you, because underneath the fear, there's certainly something that fear is trying to point you towards or away from. And that's where I see that it's not the fear, uncertainty, and doubt are a bad thing or a good thing per se. It's just if they're unconscious, they are reactive. They create reactive responses. Yeah. What are you laughing at? Yes,
What does your intuition tell you?
the intuition tells me you looked at Christina Hurst-Prager's message over there, or what?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
I was trying to see, like I saw that we're really analyzing it, and I thought to give you a little bit of a prompt to actually tune into your intuition. I'm playing with you.
I like that.
Why did you pick this subject? Why is this important to you?
It's so funny. There's some subjects that seem so obvious to me. I thought, oh, we just have to do a show on that. And I picked it because if I look at my own work, my work is defined by my ability to balance the rational and the emotional. Like that's what makes me able to do what I do. And what I do is I stay present. Something doesn't feel right here. And I let that feel right, which is my intuition. And then I say, probably without even giving any thought, something doesn't feel right here. So I allow my intuition to speak. And then I sort of allow that now to be seen almost even by me, because it's like I say, hey, something doesn't feel right. And then I put that object outside of me. And now I'm looking at that object. And now I'm saying, now it's less of my intuition. Now it's more of my concentration. What is it that I don't yet understand that doesn't make sense? Or what is it that I still am trying to figure out? And I think that's what in my work makes me say effective when I'm in groups, is that I don't attach meaning to the actual thing I'm uncomfortable about. Someone might say, I don't like I'm uncomfortable with this decision. And then all of a sudden they've shut down the dialogue. And the intuition says, something doesn't feel right here and I can't exactly say what it is. Would you guys be open to like looking at it or considering what might be the problem here?
That's how you would engage the group.
Yeah.
After the individual had shared that.
No, that's the two different ways an individual might share it. One way, shutting down a dialogue, and the second way, allowing it to become an intuition. Yeah. That's why like the worst person in a group considered, judged as the worst person, is often the best. Yeah, like we've joked about you in the past. Bambos is not the best person to have in a course, right?
Right.
What makes you hesitate there?
Because we've said this every other show that people know it already.
Okay, good. But since you don't embrace it so wholeheartedly, I think there's resistance, and I'm wondering what if anything there is, if there's any resistance.
There's no resistance.
Okay, good.
Your intuition sucks there.
No, good. Well, I don't know, but let's just follow that line then. So, in that case, if you're open, right? If you're open in a course, then you don't have judgment towards what the trainer's doing.
Yeah.
Which you have had in the past, and so the difference would be you address it with a question.
Yes.
Or you state what's not working for you, which you also did, right?
Yeah.
Cool. We have some comments coming in, which I think would be fun to look at. Christina Hurst-Prager.
JC Barnett says, wear a hat, Andy.
Yes, thank you, JC.
In connection to your hair.
Thank you, JC.
Iris Ofer says, you guys can ask for donations of Patreon.
Yeah.
You give a lot in this show, to this show.
Thank you.
Christina says, I think I know why you Bambos get so much response. You look straight into the camera, so I and the other viewers get the impression that you look straight into our eyes.
Nice. That's what he's always telling me to do, so that validates.
Meaning you connect to us, everyone individually. I love the topic of intuition.
Beautiful. I can't look into the camera, by the way.
Do you know why I look at the camera? Because when I look at the screen, my eyes hurt.
Yeah. You said that.
But if we have a guest, I'll sometimes want to look at him or her to just tune in a bit, and then I'll come back up.
And then you had those glasses you used to wear. Do you have those still or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When I speak to the topic of intuition, are there things that you connect to, or how connected are you to that idea of intuition?
I don't know. Would be the like.
So we did this show.
Yeah.
How did you feel any intuition around that?
Yeah, last week I Googled the two words, but when I have to understand something instead of experience it, I pretty much shut down. Like, I don't want to put any time into this.
Uh-huh.
So I might be experiencing it, but can I intellectually or logically say that in what ways? I don't find the words for that.
Okay. Can we try to kind of go into a situation where that might be true?
Yeah.
You became a photographer.
Yeah.
And you decided one day to become a photographer.
Yeah.
You had no experience. You had no clients. You didn't probably have a great camera. You didn't even have a photo studio. So you decided. What made you decide that?
Oh, I said I'm never going to work for anyone else. And I looked in my bag, and that was the thing I was carrying around for 5 years straight.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm a photographer. This is what I'm going to do.
Okay. And then what gave you the impression you could succeed at it?
Belief.
Yeah. Interesting. I think underneath that for me is an intuition. This can work.
Yeah, I didn't have, my brain couldn't connect how the monetary exchange would happen, but it did. Like, in my first year, where I really suffered, I got one job at least.
Yeah.
I ended up going to Afghanistan for a 10K project, but no one wanted to go there.
Yeah.
So that for me gave me like an experience of, oh, I can earn a lot of money doing this. Like, that was more money that I earned working for someone.
Yeah. I guess there's times you'll explain a client, maybe one of your clients that isn't so desirable.
Yeah.
And before anything happens negative, I already tell you that's a horrible client.
Yeah.
And usually, as far as I know from our experiences, it's turned into horrible clients.
Yes.
And so that would be.
I just want to make it clear. I've had like 5 terrible clients in my lifetime.
In your lifetime,
Yeah.
There's not many, I know. But there's something about like only 3 words or sentences in your description, which will already let me know there's something not right there. Now, I'll tell you it's not right, and then maybe a week later you'll come back and say, Andy, you were right.
Okay, so there I can already sense it, and that's why we're talking about it. I just can't put my finger on it.
Okay. But you can sense it.
I can sense it. So is that intuition?
Yeah, you can sense it because you call me about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't call me if you didn't sense it.
I'm like, what am I missing here?
Yeah, the only thing you're missing is, I would suggest, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's like in front of the window that you're looking through. Imagine if money wasn't even a consideration. You didn't need money. You didn't have any dependencies. And all you were thinking about is, this person, I hear their voice. I've heard it 10 times before. I know where this leads. And that guided you.
Principle.
You would say principle, yes. But the principle is almost like secondary to the stomach. Like, I just don't like this person. We have the prerogative not to like people.
Yeah.
And I know that there's times when you might not like somebody, but you'll still do the work. But stay with me. Stay with me.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a face coming up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I could name the talks we've had, but I don't want to go into the client details. Times when you've given people free things.
Yeah. But that client, Andy, I didn't know them. The person that hired me to do that job.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's a different principle.
Yeah.
Got it. Nice.
So I'm trying to see beyond that.
Yeah. Well, I would say that situation you don't need to talk about, because you were in a situation where someone came in the back door that you didn't expect, but you already knew it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm talking about. It doesn't matter how it comes into your life, but it does come into your life. And the question is, how do you address it at that moment? You could have, if I tell you how you would have done it differently, you would have said, hey, I hear something's going on that isn't working. And in my experience, it's better just to say, we're not going to work any further. Sorry. Have a nice day. Like that, instead of anything drawn out into 2 or 3 email exchanges and God knows what else. Yeah. Where are you going, though?
I kind of doubt the way that you are telling me to navigate it would have been fruitful.
Okay.
Because the shoot already happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but what if even in the shoot, you could have already seen the dynamic that didn't feel right to you?
Yeah, I could sense things.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't put my finger on it. So in that moment, hey guys, I'm sensing something's off. We're like, let's stop.
Oh, but so how you deal with it, you don't necessarily end it. What I'm telling you is that's the instinct I'm pointing towards.
Yeah.
And it's almost always the case when something goes bad, you can look back and say, oh, I saw these things and I could have known this.
Yeah.
And that's the instinct we're talking about. That's it. And then how you address it is totally different. You know, if you do it the way I did it, or you do it earlier, or you sense it's off, and you're like, oh no, I can't wait. I don't even want to send them the pictures. You know, then I phrase things differently. Yeah. Bola Lang writes us. It's always nice. We haven't seen him, I think, in a bit. Are there times when you doubt your intuition, Andy?
Speak louder.
Are there times when you doubt your intuition, Andy? There are times when I feel something is not okay, but I give it time to make sure whether my doubts are valid or not. I love it. So, Bola Lang, I always trust my intuition and doubt it simultaneously. It's the paradox.
Hold it firmly and lightly.
Firmly and lightly. If I look at my entire life, I hold things firmly and lightly. What I know from my experience, I hold firmly. And then I know that my experience is always limited. So if I try to validate it, I just create my reality over and over again. So that might mean on occasion, I might make the same mistake 2 or 3 times. But the consequence of not holding it lightly means that I don't give any space for anything other to emerge. So that would speak to Bola Lang's point. And is the intuition wrong sometimes? Of course. But it's infrequent that it's wrong. Because if I don't write a story about it, then you could almost say, oh, there's something suspicious about this one. If you leave enough time, you'll almost always find something suspicious to validate that feeling. So the question only is it as bad as you thought it was? Yeah.
I want to go back to the guy that was alcoholic.
My dad?
No.
Yeah, to the alcoholic. Yeah.
How would you have addressed it if you had not hugged them? Like would you have gone and what kind of questions would you ask? I mean,
okay.
You're obviously going to say, hey, I'm sensing something. What's going on?
No. It was America as well. And let's get things really clear. When you're in the US, there's certain rules and regulations, the things you can and can't do or talk about. So even
you're right
about law. So I also am working within a context and a system which will and will not allow certain behavior. So I could talk to the superior and say, there's something there I haven't got my finger on. I couldn't talk to the individual. I could engage them, create rapport, but I couldn't say, hey, there's something off about you. What's going on? Or maybe I could do that. It just depends on the trust in our
Hey,
relationship.
are you okay?
Yes, maybe, but it would depend on the relationship. And if you ask an alcoholic if you're okay, they're not going to give you an answer anyway. So to think that that's a question you could ask, but if you saw them and you went to them,
but it wouldn't be them answering the question, but how they go about to answer the question, which will probably the energy that carries their words will probably give you enough information, right? Like,
I guess, but I would also say I already know the response in my mind, which is an assumption, but it's still like I've had it enough that I can
play
say
it out.
Hey, are you okay? Yeah, man, I'm great. I'm really good. How are you? Yeah, I'm totally in denial. So my voice is a little bit higher because I'm just responding as an autopilot.
I love it when Andy acts out.
Like that's the autopilot. And you know when you're in that interaction with an autopilot, you're just going to get autopilot responses anyways. And then sometimes I will do pattern breaks, but I try to be pretty thoughtful about when I do them. So no, don't say it that way. What's really going on? Like, yes, I will do that as well at times. Yeah. And that would be its own, how do you break pattern? That was your MO before when we would interact. It's like always had to be intense.
Yeah.
And there's a place for that as well, of course, but you need to balance it against like, how do we talk for a bit? And then how do we deepen it? And maybe we can't go as deep this time, but we go deeper next time and so on and so forth. What made you laugh?
The hammer.
Yeah, your instinct is we're going to take the hammer to this thing.
And they picked a lot of nice pictures of people sitting. Did
you see them?
Yeah. And I was like, intuition and gut, like, what kind of fucking image would that be? And then I just typed hammer intuitively.
Yes.
And this came up. I was like, I want to see a hammer smashing something.
So that's it, man. That's it. So my intuition said brain, speed, fast. And it was predisposed because think fast and slow.
Oh, yeah.
So I already had a predisposition, but my instinct took me in one direction. Your instinct took you in a wholly another direction, which I think was much better at the end. Yeah. So that would be the instinct.
Not the intuition?
I don't know if I have a good definition for what's the difference between instincts.
Like we're talking now for 32 minutes and 56 seconds, and I still, like, I can, intuition, gut feeling, yeah, but I still can't separate them. I'm not going to walk away from the show right now, if we would, and have a very clear idea.
You thought that this said versus. The show isn't versus, it's and.
It's and.
Yeah. I saw them as two sides of the same coin, not separate.
So what would be the opposite? What would be the versus?
Blind. Intuition versus blind consciousness, or blind reactive.
So how can our viewers take this and use it in their life consciously?
Oh, great. Probably go back to Bolalong's question. You have a moment of time when you feel something's off. What you do at that time dramatically defines your life.
So I have a nice example.
Yes.
A guy was talking to me about how he connects to women.
Okay.
And he always intuitively feels they like him, but then after he's messaging, he kind of has to reach out more and more and more, and he loses them. That's his story. So, but what I sense with him is he is not in his, like my intuition would say he's not in his, he doesn't stay with himself. So he has to go out of himself to try to get.
When I hear you speak, I don't hear you speaking about intuition at all. You said it was his intuition that they liked him. That wasn't his intuition. It was his desire. He desired that they liked him.
Some of the responses that he shared with me showed that they liked him. like his initial
Flirt.
Uh-huh. He created emotion, so they liked him. They liked him enough to get the number.
Okay.
So in getting to know that person, and I think then because he's had the experience already of, they always run away, the story, they always run away. When he's making the jokes or trying to talk, he already has, I think because he believes that, he already sabotages it.
Okay, but this has nothing to do with intuition and gut instinct.
No.
He
already knows that it's going to happen, but he doesn't see that he's the.
Yeah, but that's not gut. That isn't it.
Oh, what is it then?
That's just an underlying belief that he's not conscious of. Instinct is if you walk on the street, Bambos, and you see a woman, you intuitively know, is this going to match or not? That's instinct. That's the intuition. That's it. Can you feel it? What is that? Where does that come from in you? Explain it to us.
In me, it's that's a tough one, because the old Bambos.
No, fucking stay with it, because this is where people get stuck. Where does that come from?
It's an impulse.
It's an impulse, and feel into that impulse. Like imagine that impulse had a voice and it was able to speak. No, nothing more than just speak.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's it.
Yeah.
And then where does it go from there? Wow. The way she walks, I felt there's something about that I've had before, and I realized that's how the behavior feels out. Oh, there's something about how she talks. The first question she asks me, or how she posts, what she shows on Instagram. Oh, there's something. That's the intuition. There's something speaking to you.
Yeah.
That's the intuition. Now, how do you give the intuition words? That's a wholly another process. But the intuition is something very raw.
It's the first, I would say, even innocent, childlike response, or even, as Christina might say, animal response.
Yeah. And I love what she wrote, by the way. She just wrote in a beautiful. She said, an animal has an instinct, but not intuition. Beautiful. Incredible. She just created it for us. Is intuition instinct with insight? And that was how we tried to describe it at the beginning, not as eloquently as she just put it back to us.
Instinct with insight.
Yeah, it's an instinct with insight. And that's the dance. You feel it, you sense it. There's something there. That is the gut. That is it. That's the instinct. And then the intuition is like, there's some thought here that I haven't quite got my head around. There's something here. And it's that balance that I often find in life that kind of, guides, I would have to say. This show is nothing more than instinct. Absolutely nothing more than instinct. COVID's happening. I'm sitting down. What feels right? Where would I go 3 months from now and think, wow, that was a great 3 months? Bang, we had a show. And that was just instinct. And things happen, decisions come on a daily basis. Do we do this or do I do that? And there's just something about what feels right. It doesn't feel good. The guides. Yeah. What?
Well, I would say our show started way before COVID.
Yeah, our show started before COVID, but it formalized with guests and that.
It made sense when COVID came. For relationships, I do respect my intuition. If I feel anything negative, I don't override it.
Yeah.
And if you feel something negative,
that's from Bola Long.
If I feel anything negative or think anything.
What I'm hearing is that he says, if I meet someone, it doesn't feel good, then I don't try to pretend that it doesn't feel good in order to make it work.
And then the question, do you stay open, Bulalang?
Yeah, I mean, this is where at some point in your life, you're not obligated to be friends with everybody.
No.
And you don't even need to understand it. The beauty is, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because we don't necessarily like someone doesn't mean that it's not a reaction in us to something that we can't embrace in ourselves. So the beauty would potentially be that we don't necessarily push the person away. We might stay away from them, but we ask ourselves the question, what is it about their behavior that isn't working for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We have Magda also writing in today. This is nice.
And we haven't been crying. Magda.
Hello, Magda.
Isn't intuition beyond knowing what it is, yet knowing, feeling there is something not consistent?
Well, we talk about it in consistency and not consistency, but it could be just intuition that this is a time to buy gold. Or it could be an intuition that this is a moment to join another company.
So that was a little like sub-communication to those of you who should buy gold right now.
No, not. It's the highest it's ever been. I don't know if this is the right time to be buying that, but yeah, let's just say. So
how do you know?
Because I track.
Okay.
Isn't intuition beyond knowing what is? It's so weird, Magda. It's a really good question. And I'd almost flip it on its head and say, intuition is knowing what is, but maybe not being able to explain it immediately. It's a feeling which is so deep, but just like, yeah, that's right. No, there's something wrong. Oh, I sense this. There's something there that feels so right. And I believe the people who are able to harness their own intuition make better leaders. They make better partners. They're just, because they're not thinking about the things that they're feeling. And if we know anything that'll stop a person from just fully living their expression, it's that they have a feeling and then they rationalize it away. Mm-hmm. To the point when they don't even know what the initial feeling was anymore, because it's already been written down so often.
Well, I have to think about my last relationship, right? I intuitively knew that it wasn't a relationship to go into, like it wasn't going to work out. And I chose to override the intuition with logic. Oh, but this person is showing me also that they're going to change. They're going deep there. So I saw a lot of qualities that I really loved, and those qualities overweighed what my intuition was telling me initially. And I didn't want to trust my intuition, and it got me into a lot of trouble.
What did I say to you, Bambos?
Fuck off. This is my sister's son. It's
wonderful.
The first time he's making a comment here, and that's why he's getting boof. Agamemnon.
Agamemnon.
Yeah, Agamemnon.
Yeah, he says it, and I agree totally. Intuition is the gift to go inside. Trust my intuition, and I'll wonder what is it that it's trying to say to me. There is a discipline in that. I like how you smile. You feel really good to see him there, don't you?
Yeah, I love you, man.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's the, and that's where I see oftentimes the lack of discipline in people's thinking stops them from action. Bambos' lack of discipline, and but that's what I've been asking. Is there's a discipline in something doesn't feel right? What is it telling me? Or something feels good. What is it speaking to me? So I ask the intuition to speak to me, and then the words that come out tend to be, I would say, cleaner than if I'm trying to make sense of it. It's like it's immersion.
Don't trust your mind.
Yeah. Don't become dependent on it. Yeah. So I find intuition, if one doesn't have it, then they they feel less secure about their own decision making.
And it is really funny. The more, in my experience, I listen to it, the louder it gets.
Yeah.
The louder it gets. And if I push it away, I lose it. And I would even say I disconnect from myself the moment I say no to that.
Yeah, beautifully said. You disconnect. If you don't listen to the voice inside of yourself and try to move around it, then you actually disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when the book came out, The Last Letter, and I was taking a shower and I said, I'm going to spend 3 months driving through America. I'm going to leave everything and I'm going to do 60 sessions.
Like, what kind of crazy shit is that? Who does that?
I did it. And I did it literally in 10 seconds. I didn't think about it. I didn't work up to that moment. I just thought, got this thing. This is the time of my life. I can do something beautiful. I can do something like when I die, that'll be the coolest thing, to have done something remarkable, something that out of the ordinary. And what pushes me out of my comfort zone is just boom, 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 just 3-4 things. I was like, that's it. And from that moment forward, it didn't change. It was literally construed in 30 seconds, probably.
Yeah.
I came out of the shower, told Ronnie, I'm going to take 3 months off, travel the world. We didn't have a long discussion about it. She already knows better. If my instinct speaks, she's not going to speak against it.
Yeah, but you do the same with her, right?
Same with her. She has the same liberty. And yeah, that was it. And that was all instinct. The second book, I didn't have the intention of writing a first book, but my instinct told me, hey, something doesn't feel right going and traveling alone for 3 months and not actually documenting anything. That doesn't feel right.
But you documented the moment you left for the airport.
No, I didn't document that. No, I started.
You were not filming, recording.
No. I started about a week in. I didn't start to do the audio till then. Yeah, and that was it. It's like, it just feels like this needs to be recorded, and then I started to record. And then I was like feeling like, wow, I think that this could become a book. This is strange. Okay, let's see if I can transcribe the audio tapes. I'll put them up on the internet and see if they give me back something I can transcribe. It was all very instinctual, just like, how does it? It's the same with the show. Yeah. How do we book guests? Like,
I wouldn't know.
Exactly. But you see how the difference is, how I book a guest, how you book a guest?
Yeah.
Like, I see this dwarf woman and I'm like, we need a dwarf on the show. We need someone to talk about that experience, right? I see, transsexual. We haven't had transsexual on yet.
Transvestite.
Either one. We haven't had either. No. Well, I have to think of the distinguisher because we had our drag queen on.
Oh, drag queen. Yeah.
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 But there's like a feeling for that just feels right. That feels like a nice hour. There's something feels good about it. Like, I don't think to myself, like, if someone tried to explain to me this person is really good, it makes me less interested. Like, what's the show? What would be something that I instinctually feel would be fun to spend an hour talking about? And I know that in my body, not in my brain.
Yeah, you kind of follow your excitement, I hear you say.
Yeah, I follow the excitement. And if I'm not excited, I'd call that instinct or my intuition. Yeah. As we now distinguish the two well by the audience. Thank God the audience is there to.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Did you when we'll talk, you asked a specific question earlier, like, what would they get out of this?
Yeah.
And our talks and these episodes began because we would discuss things that I've always found important for my own life and development. And now I'm wondering, as far as we're now 50 minutes into this, are there things you've heard you're like, oh, now I understand why that's important? Or have you learned anything or felt like you were clear on anything after this 50 minutes? Because I don't have that impression per se. That's why I ask.
Oh, that's because I logically can't follow you, but I can feel you.
Oh.
Like, as you're talking, I'm connecting it.
Wow.
And in the past, that would be a really big struggle for me. Like I'd sit here, okay, I don't understand.
Yeah, did you see that was why I interrupted you to say feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was worried you were trying to make too much sense of it instead of allowing yourself to feel what it feels like. You know, sometimes I'll sit with Ronnie in the park. We haven't done it recently. And I'll just point to a person and start discussing and then like project what I see or experience around that person as they walk by.
I do the same. Normally at the falafel place, sitting at the window, and then I'll see someone and I'll go on.
And you'll see as you speak, sometimes if you're free and you're not trying to make a story, but feeling what you see, like you start to get scared at some point because you're like, wow, I can say more than I imagined I could say. Like I'm surprised at the fact that I can say so much about someone I know nothing about who's just walked or passed me. True or false doesn't really matter, but the fact that I feel like, wow, I really can see what I'm saying could make sense.
I have that experience too, Andy.
Yeah, no.
No, but specifically when we do authentic relating in the workshop, and we play the game where we normally do a check-in.
Okay.
And this time the check-in was, you're going to be someone else and you're going to speak as if you're them. And you're going to share for 3 minutes what's alive for them, but in the first person.
Oh, wow.
So it was really edgy because it was like, I feel really disconnected right now. I don't feel comfortable with this exercise. But I also want to fully own that as we speak, we also discovered how much do we actually create, because I'm speaking while looking at you.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I've said disconnected. That person maybe collapsed. Oh, I feel collapsed, and I'm shallow breathing.
Yeah.
So it could be that you're also reinforcing whatever.
Yeah, or creating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty accurate if you really know how to tune in with your breath and not come from here.
And that's what I would say is the intuition. The combination of them, right? That's the feeling like there's something I see or understand and I don't know why. And as I give it more words, it seems to make more sense.
We're playing that game tonight, guys.
Is that right?
Yeah, I love it.
Do you want to announce the game so people know what that is?
You mean the event?
Well, the game's going to be, you're going to ask a person to take over the voice of another person and describe them to themselves.
Describe what's happening in them in the moment.
Oh yeah, describe what's happening in them. That's intense. Yeah, beautiful. Are these you wanted to do these because you were learning a lot from the sessions when we originally started, when you recorded our sessions
in the past? Yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting as much out of them now, or is it a little bit boring and redundant?
I would say that I get to experience myself from this space more when we're doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Especially moments where you might be, I'll use the word lovingly, poking my identity.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow knowing that there's a witness out there, I don't know how many witnesses, it actually I would even say that the audience plus the poking becomes a catalyst for me to get really into the space I'm resisting in that moment. So I would say, if I look at the first videos and somewhere where I disconnected for 3 or 4 weeks, and the last ones, I do see a very big.
Yeah. And if we weren't live and we weren't being recorded and viewed by people, we would also be interacting differently, for sure.
Well, it will be more question answers.
Yeah. I would be sometimes, I believe, harsher on you.
Yeah.
Like to break a pattern. And I see that if I'm with other people watching, and they have no context, they don't understand a relationship, then it's like they would even see it as bullying.
Well, someone called you a dick today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Nice.
I said I can see why you would say that.
Good. Yeah, but that's the truth. So in a way, and I've always told you that, is that as we interact and as we do it, and then however I'm trying to support, if I go the full Monty, then if anyone watches it, they'll think, okay, this doesn't feel right. And they want to see a bigger.
I mean, I had a lot of anger issues. And there was a point in my life where Andy said to me, from this point on, reacting to anger is not acceptable. I think you even said, if you react to anger again, this relationship is over. Like those were the consequences. And I felt them. And it really gave me the opportunity, like when I was getting angry, instead of breaking things and exploding, I felt the pain of losing the connection and knowing that, okay, I'm reacting to anger internally, so what's happening? And then I found the space that there was a lot of pain behind the anger. So you gave me the opportunity to feel the pain, which I was pushing away, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you've been pretty firm 3-4 times actually on the journey where.
Where if you weren't firm, you would have regressed to a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah. But by the way,
and you also pushed me. I mean, we also talked about me not being on the show anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that was also a consequence of me showing up disconnected and not fully owning my experience.
Yeah, you turned this into I'm going to be here because I need to be here, not because I want to be here.
Yeah.
And that was unacceptable.
Yeah.
For either of us, actually. Yeah.
So in a way, I always feel that you forced me to crack the show open and step up. Like you said really beautifully, actually. You said, I'm not going to come to your level. You're going to step up to my level.
Yeah. Don't expect for me to sort of be quiet on the screen for an hour unless that's the intention of that show, just so that you don't feel as uncomfortable. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And you have, which is beautiful.
Yeah, but you've also been really patient. I mean, I can imagine sitting next to someone that's not fully present.
Yeah.
And then you have to navigate the guests and knowing that the guest might also be intuitively feeling shit.
Some guest, of course, said, what's going on with the Bambos? He doesn't ask many questions. What's he doing there? The one that said I was a dick, I'd like to get back to that one for a moment. Is this someone we mutually know or not?
No, it's a friend of Jasmine's. He said it today when I...
Okay, good. Okay.
And he said that you ask repetitive questions and quite loud. And I was like, yeah, he is.
It could be. Yeah. I resemble all those remarks. Yeah. Is he Dutch?
Dutch disconnected, but highly, I would say, photographic memory. He can.
Oh, really?
He can. Yeah, he remembers details.
Oh, beautiful.
But I could tell he really lives here.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say things the same all the time.
I forgive you.
To all our listeners, I'm sorry to repeat myself over and over again.
Can you tell us about your 3-month tour?
Yeah.
So, guys, 58 minutes and 34 seconds. Do you want to give us some love?
Yes.
Comment below.
We've got some great shows, by the way. 2 more before we take a 2-week hiatus.
Tomorrow we have the person who wrote Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, not wrote.
What was it?
He was the sheriff on Murder, She Wrote.
Oh.
He played the role for 16 years, I believe, or 12 years.
And he was in love with his daughter or something.
Yeah, was in love with his daughter. We'll talk to him about that. He set me straight, said he couldn't go out dating. So that's the first thing we'll have to talk about.
Absolutely.
And on Friday, we talked to Bolalang, and I think Bolalang is a really nice one to have on as a dovetail for this conversation, because Bolalang, it likes to think before he speaks. So when we talk about instinct with him, I'll be really curious to hear how he's balancing that.
Bolalang, look forward to meeting you.
Yes.
We saw you on Andy's birthday. Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're going to have 2 weeks off.
2 weeks.
2 weeks off, guys. Fuck.
2 weeks. Can you imagine? What's that going to feel like?
My intuition was telling today, like, I need a break. I need some like break out of all the things that I'm consistently doing every day.
Yeah.
So
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'll be going to Bristol, England for 2 weeks, to 42 Acres, which is just near Somerset, I think. I'm not exactly sure. And it's a retreat center that I do a lot of work at. So I'll be there for 2 weeks.
And when we're back, the first show, we're gonna have an amazing guest. And guess who? I'll be interviewing Andy with a good friend of mine called Mariana.
Yeah.
She sometimes helps me host events. And me and Mariana will be talking to Andy about the new book. And that's the day when the book is out, right?
August 31st. It'll be the launch of the book. It's Monday.
And guys, we would appreciate if you want to order the book, to order it on that day on Amazon, and then write a review so we can get that book out into the world.
Please.
We're hustling here.
Yeah. And on Friday, the Sunday before, the 30th, I'm going to give a wounded healer workshop, and it's going to be on Eventbrite, and that'll be announced ahead. So people that are interested will do the exercise that I slavishly use and repeat over and over and over again in the book, because I like to do that, apparently.
Yeah.
I love it. So we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for joining us today. It's always fun to have our own days.
On another episode of
A Wonderful
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Da, 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 da.